LimeWire is not the thing that you used to pirate music in the early 2000s anymore. It's an NFT marketplace, of course, on Algorand, and it's signed a deal with Universal Music Group. So they're looking at content licensing. UMG artists can now offer audio recordings, audio-visual content, behind-the-scenes content, art, and images as NFTs on LimeWire's marketplace to sell directly to fans and collectors. And I'm so sad Naomi Brockwell isn't here because we may finally get a Taylor Swift NFT. So we'll just all have to meet her and let her know about this news because I think that she will be ecstatic. Zach, I'm going to kick it off to you. What do you make of this Universal Music Group news, especially at this time in the market?
I see Universal Music Group doing a bunch of things in the Web3 space, and it looks like they're not really slowing down just yet. They did a thing with, I think, Genies, the avatar company. They've done a couple of other things. They filed for some trademarks for like its Bored Ape Yacht Club band. Remember that? They have a band from like Bored Ape NFTs. So UMG seems to have some real Web3 folks over there because they keep doing interesting experiments. And I think what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's place a few bets on a few different things, a few different networks, a few different platforms, and we're going to see what sticks. If we think that metaverse is the new way to engage the next generation of listeners, fans, media consumers, it makes sense that they'd be placing those bets now. And I think that they have not lost their conviction. So it's interesting that they're teaming up with the ghost of LimeWire here. And I think we might see more news out of them in the future as well. But yeah, Web3, music, UMG, it's going down. I'll toss it to Wendy for her thoughts.
I'm so excited you guys brought this story up, and I'm going to be aging myself here, but I remember LimeWire way back in the day, how much fun it was. That was how we got music because I grew up super poor. We didn't have money for CDs, any of that type of stuff. But the thing that, like, when I first heard that LimeWire was going to turn into like this Web3 music platform, initially I was like, okay, like, why are they doing this? But now, Jen, since you brought up like licensing for musicians and all of that, that's really one of the reasons why I'm truly passionate about NFTs is I see a lot of the underdogs being able to actually own their music, own their creations, have merchandising rights, have licensing rights, and being able to really break away from these predatory third parties. So I am absolutely over the moon, and I'm not exactly sure who's going to kind of come out on top, because I know there's a couple other platforms out here that are trying to do similar, but I'm excited to watch, and this just makes me very excited for the next 5 to 10 years in crypto or music.
I'll pick it up. I'm interested to see how this how like this rolls into where the record industry left off, right? People used to go and buy records. It'd be a big thing. You can still buy them today. Like you get like a commemorative edition with it, like a plaque, maybe some extra songs. I don't know. You get like the whole CD case with it. There's a lot of those things that have been left on the sidelines because everything's gone digital and no one really cares about it at this point. And I think NFTs can maybe bring that back, or at least we've seen that this last year. People have thought about NFTs in a very similar way. You think about your Bored Ape, you think about your PFP, whatever, on Twitter. In the same manner, I own this good, I own this image, I associate it with this platform. Maybe the same thing happens with music, right? And I think it has happened to some degree, but maybe that cascades even further where there's a new album coming out from your favorite artist, and instead of getting a record that you can like physically own and put onto your bookshelf at home, you get an NFT that fits into like Spotify or fits into like I don't know, Tidal or something like that. It's just like it comes along with it and shows that like you are part owner of that. And once we get into like more socialized music settings where people are like sharing the music they own, it could share that fact that you own the NFT for that, right? Maybe there's like a little star at the top saying like you're listening to this song, you're sharing it with your Twitter friends or like your Instagram friends, and there's a little NFT information with it as well. So I think there is some other components to this story going forward. They're going to be interesting. I don't know if I'd personally be caring that much. Like I'm like the cheap guy.
I think you are going to
spend $10 a month on Amazon. Yeah, no, I don't care too much. I'm just going to listen to the music. But I think there are people out there who do care about that a lot. So I will not.
I totally
will not
care.
Dismiss them.
Yeah, I totally care. It's important.
Everyone in this column cares.
Yeah, this column is winning. The other column, I'm not sure. And Zach too.
I didn't say anything. What are you doing to me? I didn't say anything.
What are you talking about?
Do you guys buy records?
You know what?
I do.
Well,
I have
You buy
record player.
records?
I haven't
See,
bought
some
a
people
record in
care
a
about
long
it.
time.
Some people
I have
Nice.
over 500 records.
true.
Most of it is like old rock, old outlaw country, punk, jazz, all of that type of stuff. I love music. Like I'm a huge, huge music person. And I really didn't understand what NFTs were until a friend of mine was like, oh, well, if you're a musician, you can actually own your music. I'm like, oh my God, all my Hollywood industry friends that weren't able to make it, they can finally make it because these communities are so strong. Like, especially like on the streets of Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard, like these little niches of like all these subgroups in music, very, very strong. And people will buy this stuff, in my personal opinion. Go ahead, Zach.
I mean, shout out to Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings, first of all, because Outlaw and Country definitely rules. Second of all, I'll drink a little bit of the Kool-Aid here. I could see this working, right? You get the flywheel going of sort of like TikTok musicians who sort of generate their own audience, and they can work with these peer-to-peer platforms, be it SoundXYZ or LimeWire or whatever. These music NFT things keep emerging. Maybe Audius becomes a bigger factor here. And I think what you're seeing with UMG is they're saying, okay, well, maybe we want to get involved now before we're faced with major disruption down the road, right? This is all early. The bear case for this is that no one really cares. They can just go on YouTube, or they can go on Apple Music, or they can go on Spotify. But the bull case, and especially if you're UMG and you're seeing these little micro niches pop up around, the streets of LA, is saying, okay, and we should place a little bet here just in case this becomes a thing that unseats us the way the internet unseated the music industry back in the early aughts. So I don't know, interesting, potentially foresighted by UMG, but still, obviously, this is super early. Jen, I'm tossing it to you.
Yeah, I wonder about this licensing piece, though, right? We're talking about artists owning their music. And in the case of record labels, the record labels are actually the ones who own a lot of the creations of the artists who are under that label. And so I'm really curious to see what the business model is here. If the artists are actually going to get the revenues from these NFTs, I think it would be silly if they didn't. That would be like a really huge marketing fail. And so it will be interesting to see how this product rolls out. The second question I had when I read this story was, okay, this is great, but how are audiences going to find this product? And it reminded me of the Spotify story. We didn't talk about it on this show. It came out earlier this week, but Spotify is currently testing a product for artists to be able to show third-party NFTs and allow users on Spotify to access those third-party NFTs to purchase them. Spotify said that this is something that their industry partners have been asking for. So I think the industry is thinking about it in the right way. This is similar to what we saw with Instagram. And so we always say, like, how are people going to find this? And it looks like the music industry is figuring it out. I don't know, Wendy, you're so passionate about this topic. Do you have any last thoughts seeing that Spotify has rolled out this feature that could potentially plug in?
I absolutely love that Spotify is doing this because everybody uses Spotify. I use it. My daughter uses it. She's 5. I know that's crazy, but everybody uses Spotify. So to have this option to be able to upload your NFTs or however they're going to sort it out and listen to the music that you own there, I think that's amazing. And another piece of information I want to leave before we head over to the next story is, at least in the movie industry, people sell movie rights on the back end, on the secondary market all the time. It's actually a very, very big industry, but nobody talks about it. And people are like, especially like Marvel, DC, Disney, like what they do is they create these movies, whatever it is, and then they'll go ahead and sell those rights on the back end. Somebody will buy them, they'll hold on to them a little bit and then flip them when it starts to get more traction during a different cycle. And we see this with music too. And a lot of people don't understand. There's also, when we talk about there's licensing rights, there's also merchandising rights. So if you're a band and you have a t-shirt that says the hash on it, a company, a predatory third party can come up to you and say, we want to buy your merchandising rights and we're going to give you $100,000. And a lot of musicians generally sell this and they're like, okay, I'm not going to become super famous, whatever. 10 years later, they're the next Led Zeppelin and they sold their licensing rights for $100,000, which in fact, if they would have kept it, they could have made millions and millions of dollars. And this did happen with the Ramones. So just a little bit of additional information coming from this.